My name is Candy Joseph from Tobago and I'm a student. At the age of 15, I first experienced my menstrual cycle and it was extremely painful. I was on the ground in the classroom in agony, and from then on my symptoms grew from just having 7 days of pain to every day living in excruciating pain.
My name is Kathleen Senanan. I'm from Princestown. I'm a sales coordinator. Prior to getting diagnosed with endometriosis at the early age of 10 years, I would suffer with constant pain. Pain with my periods or without. Bleeding through my back passage as well. I would have pain to the point where I would have to take drips. I would have to get morphine injections to suppress the pain. It was really debilitating.
I'm Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain, obstetrician and gynecologist working for the last 12 years in infertility. So endometriosis can give a wide variety of symptoms depending on where it is, how bad it is, and how it's affecting the woman. So sometimes we find it for women and they don't seem to have any symptoms, but it commonly will cause pain. And so you get pain quite often, pain with your periods or chronic pain. If the endometriosis is on your bowels or your bladder, you can get symptoms often before or around your period with pain or difficulty with your bowels or your bladder.
I would be bedridden for days. I would not be able to leave the house. I would not be able to go to school or any extra activities I wouldn't be able to attend.
Well, first I went to the emergency room on many occasions where I was then referred to the clinic, gynecological clinic at the time. Kept going over and over and over and nothing, no diagnosis, everything was fine, everything was okay with me.
Hi, I'm Nikki Crosby and I was diagnosed with endometriosis in my late 20s. Now, it took a long while to get there. They tried everything and prodded and stuck, thinking it was maybe kidneys or maybe different things until we found out it was endometriosis.
But it's not a disease that shows on the outside, but it's really serious on the inside. What you see is not what you feel. It's totally different.
My name is Roberta Corona. I'm a gynecologist specializing in fertility, but I work for a long time in endometriosis. So menstrual cycle and the day of the bleeding should not be painful. Some discomfort is normal. Pain, being bad, not be able to work or to go into school, that's not normal. It means there is something else. So it needs to be investigated and can be treated from the beginning. Cannot be cured, but can be controlled from very, very early stage. The only way to diagnose endometriosis for sure is doing laparoscopy. That's still the gold standard. So basically it's a direct visualization of the lesions.
In terms of relationships, it really kind of had me in a headspin because in my late 20s, at that time, I wasn't in a really serious relationship and I wasn't married or anything, and the doctor's telling me you need to have kids because you have endometriosis, and one of the effects is not being able to have kids as you get older and the endometriosis gets worse. So there I was, a young 20-something, and really not ready to have children. And to this day I don't have, but it had put a lot of pressure on the type of relationships. You really have to have a mate who's very understanding about what you are going through and what your body is going through with endometriosis.
I am Dr. E. Monica Davis. I am a medical graduate of UWI Mona. From all reports, it is extremely painful. It is debilitating. It makes the woman psychologically depressed because they can't do things that they would want to do on a regular basis because of this crippling pain. It also is painful for sexual intercourse, which is called dyspareunia. So obviously that would impact on the partner.
Endometriosis does not only affect you physically, it affects you mentally, it affects your relationship, it affects your family and all your loved ones. Especially if one person is married, it takes a toll on the relationship because if you're a wife, you don't get to perform your wifely duties.
It is responsible for many sick days and absences from work. And it's something that's not very well known, so people don't like to say, oh, I'm having an endometriosis day, so I can't come. They're just off sick.
So what we need people to know in the public is don't judge people by the way they look. You know, in the workplace, I had people tell me that already, that you don't look sick. Because look at me today, I don't look sick, but last night I took off IV from my hand.
Coping mechanisms, first of all, would be social networks. Somebody else who has it that you can talk with and share.
Having a friend with a chronic illness is a plus for you because it can help you as an individual and you can help them as well.
And speaking with a counselor about it to realize that it's not the end of the world and you can actually function optimally for the most part.
So you have a relationship where you understand how critical you are, how it can affect your mental state, how it can affect you physically, and excuses that other people make, you can understand what they are saying to you and you know that it is real, that what you feel is real.
Coping mechanisms in terms of your family, getting them to understand.
My family, they support me. I have family who supported me from day one.
So the medical treatments basically would be similar to period pain using painkillers, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. There are oral contraceptive pills that can be used because these have a way of coping with or reducing the amount of estrogen, and this is part of the hormonal treatment.
And once I did not have a menstrual cycle, I became energetic. I got my life back.
You know, the medication, you know, it depends on how you react it. I had really bad reactions to it.
And I should have said before that the absolutely best way to deal with this is to detect it early. So if you detect it early, then you prevent further spread. You can nip it in the bud, so it's not going to be as severe. It is one of the primary causes of infertility. But not everyone who has endometriosis will be infertile. That is absolutely not so. So for those persons who happen to be subfertile and are not having any children and want to, one of the ways to cope is possibly using in vitro fertilization. So you actually do that process and they become pregnant, and that at least psychologically will quell the fear that, oh my God, I have endometriosis, I'll never get pregnant, I'll never have a child, I want a child so badly. And then if you're worrying about wanting a child so badly, that in itself is stress, which will could possibly prevent it from happening. Under no circumstances should pregnancy be seen as a physical cure for endometriosis. because after the pregnancy, the endometriosis can come back.
It's not a very popular word. Some people have never even heard of the disease. So I've always having to share the message of what goes on with somebody who has endometriosis. And I'm really glad that Trinidad and Tobago has a Trinidad and Tobago Endometriosis Association. I had to try and get research outside, and I felt so alone because nobody knew this disease. If I was a younger person, I'd be really glad that the association is there to kind of answer questions, to have that kind of human touch, to let people know that you're not alone in this.
What I'm trying to, in my part of it, is letting young women know that if you have this sign, you don't wait till your doctor to say, you may have endometriosis. You ask your doctor. I have learned to adapt to it. Learn to adapt, it's part of my life. I'm not going to let it take advantage of me and take anything that I am deserving. Meaning that having a husband, a family life, having my job, being independent, I want that as well. I know I have that, but I do not let it take from me. And my big thing is being positive and always widening your knowledge.
Endometriosis, the pain is real. The pain is silent, but we have to keep talking about it and keep raising awareness so our girls don't have to keep suffering. Endometriosis, time to get rid of it.